Say that?
Yeah.
So there's two mitzvahs in Torah. There's two mitzvahs in Torah on Shabbos. One is Zachar v'Shomer. Like Rama writes, that there's two Midivir Seifim. There's two that's rabbinic. So the two Midar Torah, the two Midar Rabbanan. And that's Kavod v'Oinig. Across the Shabbos Oinig. That there's Kavod and Oinig. Kavod is to honor Shabbos, and Oinig is to have pleasure. And generally, what's the difference between honoring and having pleasure? So the way the Gur writes in Agos and Shulchan Aruch, that the difference in Kavod and Oinig is Kavod, honor, is things that we do to enter into Shabbos, for preparations for Shabbos. That's Kavod. And then Oinig is the experience of Shabbos itself. So let's say you're preparing for Shabbos, that's part of, you take a shower, that's part of Kavod Shabbos, the honor of Shabbos. And then let's say you're enjoying a meal, and you're having a festive meal, that's Oinig Shabbos. So Oinig is already in Shabbos itself. So the question is, to a little understand, we came from Rechitza, you cleanse yourself. And we said also about the mikveh, so we've talked about it, it's Cham and Makar, the two with cold and with hot. And then you put on Big Day Shabbos. Then you put on the clothes of Shabbos. So the clothes of Shabbos, you do it before Shabbos, right? You have to get dressed before Shabbos. And it's very important to get dressed before Shabbos. And the question is, and we'll see soon, that what is it? Is it part of Kavod Shabbos? Are you getting ready for Shabbos? It's Kavod. You're preparing for Shabbos. Or is it actually part of the experience of Shabbos? Part of the experience of Shabbos is to wear Big Day Shabbos. That not only is it Kavod of Shabbos to prepare for Shabbos, to cook good food for Shabbos, and have Shabbos, to put on clothes, but part of Shabbos itself is to wear proper clothes, to have a special begadim of Shabbos. So, in general, the idea is that a person should get dressed for Shabbos right after they take a shower, or if they go to the mikveh, right after they go to the mikveh. Last time that they get wet, right then they should right away put on clothes. Because the idea of generally washing and cleansing yourself is to get rid, is the sumerah, is getting rid of, and then you put on begadim of Shabbos. You put on the begadim of Shabbos. Okay, so let's learn a little bit what it says in the halacha. In the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. That on Shabbos, Chayev kolom lishtadel she begadim noyim l'Shabbos. The person has to mishtadel. He should try to have nice clothes on Shabbos, and the mitzvah is the part of the chibdu that you should makabed Shabbos. That you shouldn't have the same garments that you wear during the weekday. You should not be the same garments that you wear on Shabbos. On Shabbos, you should wear special garments. So not only should you clean your clothes, cleaning your clothes is also something that was done l'kavod Shabbos. It's already takanas ezra. The Gemara says Bava Kama. And that the Gemara says that there's idea of cleaning your clothes before Shabbos to cleanse yourself, and you clean it on Thursday, so you should be ready for Shabbos. But not only to clean your clothes, but you should wear different clothes. Shab malbush nikra kavod. Because malbush, the idea of wearing clothes, is also kavod, gives honor. The Alter says that clothes are considered kavod. That's that Rabbi Yechon used to call his clothes. They used to call his clothes things that gave him kavod. So the Alter says very simply, what does it mean? It gives a person kavod, honor. It says when you come to a place and people don't know the way you're going to wear your clothes, therefore people are going to honor you. So this is a type of honor. The honor over here is more an honor that other people are going to honor you, not the honor of itself of clothing, right? So, yeah, not you're honoring yourself by wearing clothes. Correct. So it's a little bit different there. I think, but he doesn't say that.
Well, if you're presenting to someone else your clothing.
So that's a shayla. We're going to talk about this. What is clothes? This is the we have to discuss this. So it seems like there's two things. One is that the malbush itself nikr kavod. The garment itself is considered honorable. That what you're wearing is something that's honorable, and also brings honor to others. It brings honor. It gives an example. For example, of when someone will wear clothes, but that's an example of another person honoring you, not the honor in itself. Then he says that you should, if you don't have other clothes, you should change a little bit the clothes that you're wearing, and to wear it differently. And he says even you should also even wear a talis acher. You should even try to get another talis. That you should have a special talis for Shabbos. And other places it says that you should buy even all your clothes. And this is he brings up from Dari.
And honoring, not honoring you, you're honoring the Shabbos.
So yeah,
The king that-
correct. So we'll talk about that. And then he says that the medaktikim is that this comes from the Arizal, that the medaktikim shaloi lubish b'Shabbos and kol shalovish b'chol. That you should change all your clothes. You shouldn't wear any of the same clothes that you're wearing on Shabbos. You should have completely different sets of clothes, and even shoes is brought down. Everything should be completely different. So this is the idea of changing clothes. And then let's look in hey the Shabbos and it's good, it's appropriate that a person should put on his Shabbos clothes right after the shower, right after the mikvah. So you should put on the clothes right away. She Shabbos you should cover the Shabbos and so you nicker that you're wearing these clothes for Shabbos, that you're putting on these nice clothes to enter into Shabbos. So we have to understand a little bit what is the idea of clothes, what's the oimek of the idea of clothes, and what does it do for a person that's wearing particular clothes? What is clothes in general? So if you look in the Torah, before we get into a little bit deeper, you look in the Torah, in the Psukim, in Bereshis, there's a lot about clothes. There's a lot about garments. And if it's called a simla, or it's called a beged, or it's a ksainis, there's a lot of different words that the Torah uses. And the beginning of Torah is already when Adam and Chava, when they become, after they eat from the tree of knowledge, Eitz Hadas Tov V'Ra, they become aware of the ki'arim, that they were naked. And then it says that Hashem dresses them with the clothes, with these garments of skin, these skin clothes. So they're already dressed. Later you have with Noach, they're dressed that they cover him when he's undressed. Yeah, the idea. So then later you have the begadim, which is a story with Yaakov and Esav, where Yaakov wears the begadim of Esav. So that's the first time the word beged appears in the Torah. So it's similar, it's other words, but the word beged, and beged is also from the word bagad. So beged means also something that's like treason, like deception. That you wear a beged, you're wearing a garment, you can present yourself as you want. Yaakov can dress up with the garments of Esav, and his father can touch him and feel him that he looks like Esav. So we have to understand what is the idea of begadim, what is this double nature of this. So, and then later on in the Torah, this you don't have in Bereshis, then you have big dekuna. A big dekuna, the garments of the kohen, and the big dekuna is lekavod lucifaris. So there's another reason. So there's begadim, simply the first very, very simple level of wearing garments, a basic pedestrian, very simple level of wearing garments, is to protect you from the elements. So if it's very cold, you wear a coat. Okay, that's so there's a protection element. So that's one level. There's also the idea of hiding your shame, hiding your nakedness, which you see also the Torah talks about, this idea of hiding. And that's why Levush or Malbush, the Gemara says in Shabbos, is the same as Loibusha, that it's hiding your shame. So the idea of garments is to hide yourself. And then there's another type of garments, which is L'kavod, for honor, and then L'stiferes, for beauty, which is a different thing. It's not. You're not wearing it. There's something that's called a utilitarian, like a basic use. You're using it because you need to. It's cold, so you need to wear a coat. Or it's hot, so you cover yourself. Or you're unclothed, so you dress yourself. You're embarrassed. So that's srachim. That's needed. That's what's needed. Then on top of that, there's another type of garment. There's other types of garments, which is l'chaved lucifaris, that you're wearing it for honor or for beauty. So obviously there are four madregas over here of clothes. There are 4 levels of clothes. We'll talk about the 5 levels, but there's 4 types of clothes. There's one level, a very simple level of clothes is just to protection. The other level of clothes is connected, so that's like the nefesh, the body, the guf, connected to the body. Then there's the ruach, is more the emotions, which is the person is embarrassed, which embarrassing is an emotional thing. So that's the busha covering for embarrassment, is connected to the ruach. And then there's covenant tiferes, which is connected to neshama and chaya, and there's also levushim that's connected to yichida. The begadim of the kohen, the big dekuna, the begadim of the kohen, the clothes of the kohen, is Chazal say, the Gemara says, that bisman shbigdeim aleim kunasam aleim ein bigdeim aleim ein kunas aleim, which means that the kohen, if he's serving and he has his begadim on, he has these garments on, then kunas aleim, then has the kuna, and then his avodah is correct, then his service is correct. Bisman she'ein bigdeim aleim ein kunas aleim, they don't have there's no kuna. And the Rambam adds, not only close harim kizarim, they're like a zar, they're like a foreigner, or someone that's not appropriate when they're not wearing the clothing. Which means that in the big day kahuna, the clothes of the kohen is not only that he's just wearing to symbolically show that he's a kohen, or to serve that he needs to do this certain like avoid this certain kahuna, but the kohen is created through the begadim. The begadim create the man. The bizman shekunat bugdem aleim kunasam aleim. When you're wearing the clothes of the kahuna, you become a kohen. And if you're not wearing the kohen's clothes, kazar. Like the Rambam says, it's not only the chasar and not only the absence in the cheftza of the avoida, but there's a chasar in the gavra. There's no gavra here. There's no person that's doing the avoida correctly. That's one level. On the other hand, the big day kahuna only have kedusha when they're worn. When you make the big day kahuna before a kohen wears the begadim, it doesn't have yet the kedusha. The kedusha comes when he does the avoida. So here you have this two ideas of begadim. On one hand, the begadim create the person, creates the kahuna, creates the kahuna. But on the other hand, if you have only the begadim without the kohen, you don't have kedushas begadim, which means that the clothes create the man and man creates the clothes. So there's a double relationship between clothes and dafka clothes that are connected to l'kavod l'sifaris. Now the big kahuna are connected to l'kavod l'sifaris. And this is what we say, livje big sefar techami. We always say that on Shabbos, a person has to wear begadim of l'chavod l'sefaris for honor and for beauty. And so the idea of begadim of l'chavod l'sefaris is a symbiotic relationship, is an interconnected relationship. It creates the kedusha Shabbos, and the person gives, you create it. So we'll have to understand how this exactly works. Yeah.
Also, there's another level of Bikkur of the Kohen, right, where it's Makif as well.
Yeah, because of Klapper. Yeah, sure.
Is that connected to one of those levels?
Correct, but the Kippur is going to be on the lower level. But yeah, there's also the idea of the Kippur. Okay. It's Mechaber, yeah. Because that's not a beged. That's another shayla. It's considered a beged. It's a tachshit. Yeah. Could be right. It's a Kli HaMikdash. That's a whole another shmuz, because the Rambam in Kli HaMikdash, the big day kahuna is written halachas of Kli HaMikdash in the Rambam. So the Rambam holds that the big day kahuna is part of the Kli HaMikdash. It's part of the vessels of the Beis HaMikdash. It's not just the level. Okay, let's look at so this is the idea that you have to wear nice clothes, and you have to wear different clothes, and completely different clothes. Like I said, there's even the shitta, Alter Rebbe brings down the Maimer Kotzer, and it's brought down other places, that a person should even change their shoes. They should have special shoes on Shabbos. The Kaf Chaim also says that a person should completely change their clothes. So let's look at the Ari. So Arizal writes like this. It's the second page. Bino Bushel Shabbos. The idea of the garments that a person has to wear on Shabbos. Amali Moyerzal. The okay, we'll talk about what that means. The second page on the bottom. The second column on the bottom. That anything that you wear on Shabbos, you shouldn't wear during the weekday. That a person should have separate garments. You should have certain clothes that you wear on Shabbos and certain clothes that you wear during the week. That when I put on the clothes on Erev Shabbos, so there's a name that obviously the name is connected to Zohir, to illuminate, shining. So when you put on the Begadim of Bigdei Shabbos, you should have intention for this name. That you're mechav and you have this intention before you put on the garment. When a person puts on the garment himself, putting on the garment of Shabbos, so then you should have intention of the name of Keser Kel. So this is going to Keser. We'll see what this means. But one is like it's shining, and one is that it's connected to the highest level of Keser. And the Ari says that a person has to wear white garments on Shabbos. Lepoil, this is something we have to discuss. Most from Jews don't wear white on Shabbos, or they wear a little bit white on Shabbos. So we have to figure out what that little bit is, and why do people dress in black in general. So, but he said at least 4 garments of white. Okay, so
What's between a chaluk and a levush?
a chaluk is like a kapata, like a what they the Arab they wear this bigger garment. Yeah, kaftan, exactly.
And the levush is something else? Is it different?
Malbush Alien is like, I guess, a shirt, and then on top of the shirt is something. So you should wear 4 big begonim Shabbos, 4 big Shabbos. Kibati u'moyizal. K'shefi agavan aboloshim shel adam loy b'Shabbos b'elam haza kachum b'shlosim ach b'tasav b'yem Shabbos tamid. If you with the same clothes that you wear is the same color that you're going to wear is going to be the same color you're going to wear forever. So you should be very makbid. You should be very careful to wear white on Shabbos. At least 4 begodim, 4 garments that are white. Now, is it makbid that you shouldn't wear any other color? We'll see soon. And he says that he saw someone that was dressed in black garments on Shabbos after he passed away. We'll talk about what does it mean that you see someone, what does it mean a person has garments. We'll see soon what this means. That he saw him dressed in black. And he said, and he was nenash. This is the punishment, he has to be dressed in black. So black was considered a very not correct color to wear on Shabbos. And is very strong Makif before the Arizal. Very, very harsh Makif sources that say you're not allowed to wear black. And it's a terrible thing to wear black. And we spoke about it, remember we talked about Shabbat and this whole thing that connected to Shabbos, that there's something that could be very negative and you shouldn't wear black. People wear black, so we have to understand what this means. Vidala big de love and elu negedal is Shemavaya. That the 4 begodim corresponds to the 4 names of the Shem Hashem. And big de Bria. And then the begodim of Bria. They're the garments of Bria, which means that in Atzilus there's no begodim. There's no levushim. That's what it really means. There's no levushim yet. Well, we'll understand what this means. For Gamer easily more is al b'choyer b'Shabbos. Shay luvish malbush kivani. Tachas malbush alav and elyon and pneatzino. But he said that one time he saw his Rebbe, that it was winter in Smas, it was cold, and he said he was wearing a colorful garment under the white garment, which means that he was not makbid only to wear white. He was wearing another color also, and v'loya makbizah. It was on Shabbos, of course, and it was under v'loya makbizah. Actually, big day lovin. He said the main thing is you have 4 begadim lovin. So here's the Dari. Dari doesn't say you have to wear only white. It says you have to wear at least 4 begadim, and it has to be 4 garments.
Is it at least or only 4?
Al yifsa, no, not more. You can wear more, but at least you should have 4. Dalois is so that for the 4 is connected, the rest are not. Yeah. Actually, the neged dalis avai canal available begadim makif b'chutz, and this begadim is considered the makif. So there's a kapad of Dari. You have to be very careful to wear at least 4 garments or 4 garments, and the other colors is not so. Yeah. Now you'll see.
The top one should be white.
It's mashma the top one should be white, correct? But it's lav dafka, because you can also say that's the way the clothes, like the sweater maybe was something that you wear under the kaftan. I don't know how people dress in the 1500s. It's very hard to know, but it doesn't look like so much the akpada was that.
But it seems like there's the chaluk, which is something that goes from the top and just rolls down, and then there's something called the lavush, whatever that is, and that those should definitely be white.
Those should be white. Okay, well the gay is but the point is for white. People dress differently in the 20th. The people wear suits and kabbat. They didn't wear that in the 1500s. You understand that, right? They didn't wear what you're wearing now, so they wore something else. But whatever you're wearing, there should be at least 4 of them should be white. And Dari already is suggesting that if you wear other colors, it's not such a terrible thing, but not shchorim. Shchorim is a problem. We'll see soon. Also, there's a big arichas about this, about wearing not wearing black clothes. But this is something that we have to understand. Okay. The next Marmokim is from the Maral. So the Maral writes, this is on the Baba Kamech the Shagos. So the Gemara says, The Chanina used to go and say, "Boy nights likas kala malkasa," and Masata v'koya boy kala boy kala. That's where the source of the idea of boy kala from this Gemara. Eilu shloisha shoynes shaba kala malkasa. He says that there are three Shabbos kala malkasa. Shabbos is called Shabbos. It's called the queen. It's called the bride. These are the three dvarim b'Shabbos mitzvahs Shabbos. These are the main ingredients of Shabbos. What's the main ingredients of Shabbos? A mitzvah achas orach lishvus min hamalacha. Shabbos. Shabbos means to rest. The one of the obviously Shabbos is Shabbos. Shabbos is rest. Va mitzvah shniya shetzorach shin begadim. Then second most important mitzvah is that you should change your clothes. And that's called the kala. Why is it kala? She has to dress in a certain different clothes. So Shabbos is Shabbos kala. And the next one is Malkusa. And next one is the queen, the king. What is that? Shabbos Malkusa, like the Gemara says, we learned recently about Mitzvah. The Gemara says even that if you're not Yotze to hire a person, even give the biggest suda because every person could be Zoich the Suda Shleim B'Shaita. And then the Gemara says that the Shulchan Malachim is someone that has tithing, has pleasure. And he says that's the three things of Shabbos. Shabbos, Malkusa, and Kala are the three important things of Shabbos. You have to rest, you have to have Oinik Shabbos, and you have to dress like a queen. You have to dress like a bride. And these three things, Nirbas B'Shem Shabbos, Ashin Shvisa, Beis Begadim, Atov Tainuk. These are the three essential things of Shabbos. One is the rest, one is the garments, and one is the Tainuk. This is a very Geshmaka shtickle maral, but the problem is, mamish? You say Shabbos is Shabbos to rest, I understand. You say across the Shabbos Oinig, Shabbos is Oinig Shabbos, I understand. Shabbos is big the Shabbos? That the begadim of Shabbos is the essential element of Shabbos? Like you don't have Shabbos, you have Shabbos, if you don't rest, of course you don't have Shabbos. You don't have tithing of Shabbos, of course you don't have Shabbos. You don't have pleasure. Across the Shabbos, it's Oinig Shabbos. But if you don't make the Shabbos, you don't have Shabbos. What does it mean? Huh? I'm not arguing it's true. I'm asking, we have... Yeah, so what you feel is exactly correct, but I want to know why we feel it, and what's the emes of this word, and what's pshat. And it's very important because we're going to talk about this, because it's very important. Unfortunately, we'll see. We talked about this about preparing for Shabbos and entering the Shabbos in the right mind, but unfortunately, a lot of people, when Shabbos starts, they're not mama's dressed. They're not. They're still about to be dressed, and sometimes it's possible. Sometimes people light licht without big Shabbos, and this is a very big thing. This is it's a big chasar. You have to enter into Shabbos with big Shabbos, and we'll see why it's so important. You cannot experience Shabbos correctly. You can't experience the shvisa of Shabbos, the rest of Shabbos, and the oining of Shabbos if you didn't put on big Shabbos before Shabbos. And let's understand what this idea is. The idea of Bekitzer is like this. Every single thing in this world has an or pnimi and an or makif, which means it has the internal reality of something, and then there's makifim of the reality, something that's surrounding it. In order for one thing to transition to something else, in order for one pnimi to connect to another pnimi, one internal reality to connect to another internal reality, the only way it can be done is if you first enter the makifim. The only way I could talk to you, you could talk to me, or any type of connection between two pnimistic things, two internal things, is that first one pnimi has to enter into the other person's makifim, the other person has to enter into the other person's makifim, and then in the shared makifim, in the surrounding place, there could be some type of conversation, and that allows for the pnimi to enter. It's ki'ilu, the Gemara says, that Milos and Yosef Shmaitza, there has to be a entry point. Let me give you a very simple example. We'll see from the Zohar. The Zohar says that in every single reality, in order for one thing to transition into the next, you need the makifim. That's why the word levush is shvil. The shvil, the passageway to get into something else, is through the other person's levush. I'll give you a very, very simple example. You see a person, you walk into a room and there's a person standing there and they're very reserved. They're into their own thing. They're thinking to themselves. you cannot walk over you can't approach this person. And if you do, the person's gonna then at it. But if you walk into a room and you see a person's laughing or smiling and talking, you see a person's already expressing, which means that the person is not stuck in their pnimi, they're expressing the certain makifim, which means they're mispashet, they just express themselves into the or makif. If a person expresses himself into or makif, you can enter into that place by laughing at their joke. If you want to make a conversation with somebody, someone expresses himself, or someone says something amusing, or even interesting, they just expressed an idea from their pnimi into their makifim, from their internal into their external. Now you're entering into this place. You enter into the person's makifim, which means you acknowledge the person's makifim, the person's surrounding. You say, "Oh, that thing is very smart," and then you can have a real conversation with the other person. Because every transition, every type of movement, you're going from one pnimi to another pnimi. The way you get to the pnimis is first for the orach chitzoni, first the orach makifim.
Or you peel away the chitzoni.
Either way, yeah. But you need to get through that. That's the point. You can't if a person is reserved, another person is reserved. There's no connection. A person's a little misma. True, say yeah. I'm a stalker. This is the idea of the makifim, and this oil makifim and it works on all madregas. Now there's a long shtickle zohar, and it's in the next page. But the zohar is talking about on every single level. Every time there's a transition. So let's say, for example, let's see what the zohar says. But let's say, for example, a person. Moshe Rabbeinu is going to go up to Shamayim. He's going to go up to experience heaven. So how does he get to a place for Shamayim? He has to go into Anan HaKavod. So the Anan HaKavod, the clouds of glory, is the makifim of the Shamayim Kaviyachol. It's the Ananim, it's the Kavod, the Anan HaKavod. It's the glory that's expressed, the makifim. And once Moshe enters into the Anan HaKavod, then he can enter into the Pnimius. Then he can go into the top of the mountain. So this works on every single madrega. Let's read a little in the Zohar. That Moshe Rabbeinu had to first enter into the malvushim and enter into the lavush, into the garments, into the makifim, and then once he entered the makifim, he was able to enter. That's why it says Moshe entered into the Anan HaKavod. And then it says he went up to the mountain. Because what does it mean that he entered into the mountain? He entered into the clouds of glory, into the Anan HaKavod. And then once he entered the Anan HaKavod, then he was able to enter V'yalom Elahar. That the same thing also, he wouldn't be able to enter, to elevate. Same thing also in every single madrega, every single state. You have to go first to the levushim, and then you come through. In the next piece, it talks about. I mean, you can read it yourself. He says this. Tochazi nishmasa lesakel eschazak kameg malka kadisha, ad eschazak lesabish levushim delayla. That the neshama, after 120, cannot enter into Gan Eden until it first enters into the Levush, into Levush Elyon. What is that? And then it's going to talk about Hashem Malach Geis Lavish, and it's talking about Malachim. It's like this. Everyone has a guf dak, which is the body that's made of your flesh. This is called your guf dak. And then there is like almost a mirror image of your guf dak. It's called a guf dak. A guf gas is your guf dak. So let's say you look like this. You have a certain shape to your body. Okay, why do you have a certain shape? Okay, this you can say it's my genetics. That's why you're 5'10". This is your shape. This is the body weight. This is your shape. Okay, this is your tzura. This is your guf. The neshama enters into the guf, right? Neshama is a davar ruchni, is a spiritual thing. How does a spiritual thing enter into something that's kashmis? So in order for it to enter, it's the same problem, because you have one pnimi, one thing that's a pnimi, an internal reality, which is spiritual. The other thing that's a physical reality, which is the physical body. How does this neshama? So the Ramatak says bafi glases, that it's a pella, that it's. But how does it? Even though it's a pella, what's the entry point? How does it work? What does it work? So the way it works is like this: before the neshama comes down to this world, there's actually the Baal Keach has Soy Razi has a sefer that he writes very interesting things. Over there he says that there was a bacher that's palipti. He decided he wants to marry this girl, and the father was very upset because the girl was not mativ for this boy, and he tried all different type of things. And it's not supposed and the money, and there's no covet, there's no learning, and the bacher. So they came to the Baal Keach, and they asked him, "What's pshat? It doesn't make any sense. Logical, it doesn't make any sense. Why this boy wants to marry this girl?" He says because the neshama already got married l'mayla, which means they already played out their whole wedding. They played out their whole life, and now they're playing out their life in this physical world. So you can't. They're just following the suit of what happened in a previous life, in a higher world, which means like this: that in order for the neshama to come down to the guf, it first has to enter into what is called the guf dak. What's the guf dak? The guf dak looks like you, it's shaped like you, but it doesn't have the density of you. So to say it a little different, the Ramban says, like this from Malachim is that there's Eish Maim Ruach Hafar, it's fire, wind, earth, and water. And when the level of Malachim is that they only have fire and wind. If you don't have water and earth, there's nothing tangible, there's nothing of substance. So this, it's like a silhouette, it's like a tsura that doesn't have a chaymer, it doesn't have actually substance. This is called the guf dak. So before it's before the creation, before you're born. That's what the Gemara actually says. So Toysa says, as oitz and neshamas, there's shnikr gufim. What's a guf? What does it mean, a body? That's what it means. It means that the neshamas reside within a guf. That's not the guf of the physical form, because there's no physicality yet. So it enters into a type of shape of your body type. It enters into a period of time, slowly gets used to being in a form, and once it gets used to being in form, then it can enter into physical form. That's the process. So it goes into the guf dak, then it goes into the guf dak, then it goes into guf dak. The same thing also after 120. After a person passes on, the neshama has to go to a place of ruchnis. It has to be completely divested of all physicality. It leaves his body. What do you mean doesn't leave its body? It identifies with the body for 120 years, and that's it's mitzias, right? It thinks it's its body. So what happens is slow. First it goes into the guf dak, which is it projects itself into this image that looks like the body. It's a long conversation because the guf dak is now a little different than before life, because before life it didn't have any machshav d'remaisa. Now it has all your makifim, has everything that you are.
What's the status of the person at that time?
In the guf dak,
Yeah.
that's before he goes into Gan Eden. That's before you get into Gan Eden.
But the person is already dead.
Yeah. The body's in the kever. The body's in the kever, and the person enters into this. It has the entire tzura of the body. Not only does it have the tzura of the body, it actually has the whole consciousness of the body. Because the guf dak is also every time you have a machshav d'remaisa, it's a long shmuz, but that's very quickly. Every time you have a machshav d'remaisa, it has everything, the consciousness of everything. Because every time you have
Who has the conscious? There's no give gas to have the conscious.
the guf dak, consciousness itself, it's pure awareness.
Conscious always exists, even
Correct. Where does it exist?
it exists here even if I'm not here.
Yes, no, it exists with you.
Within.
With
Is that what consciousness is? Or
your consciousness. I mean, this consciousness is a collective consciousness, but individual consciousness,
Consciousness, then it's always.
that it's everywhere and always, correct. But if you talk about individual consciousness, is next to your. Where's your memory? Forget about consciousness. Where's everything that you're experiencing right now? Right, you're talking to me. Who's you right now?
That's manifest.
No. I'm saying, who are you right this second? Who are you? I know I'm looking at you, but who are you right now? You know what you are? You're the totality of your memory having experience in the present.
So if that's how we define consciousness, then it doesn't matter if it's give that.
Wait a second. But who's having new memory now? How do you just listen to me, right? You just had a new experience of memory. Your guf gas. Your brain just had a new memory.
If we define consciousness this way, then AI is also going to be.
What's that? I'm not talking AI. Okay,
No, I'm saying everything is going. If it's about memory and experiences and knowledge, then it could be applicable to everything.
No, but it can't create new memory. No, it's not. It's not. The brain creates new memory. We're going to get into a whole long conversation. Let's just say like this. your consciousness, your particular consciousness, which is your memory. It's not your neshama. I'm not talking about your neshama. Your neshama is the backdrop where your memory is stored. Your consciousness is your entirety of your existence up until this present moment. That thing, the totality of who you are, after a person passes on, stops being vested in a physical brain, and now it's sort of lives, is housed into something that's called a guvdak. So it assumes that it still has a self.
At a certain point, that gets totally liberated.
Correct. And that's the process. The neshama actually, that's why the neshama actually sometimes feels, it's called oil madimi, and some of the neshama actually feels that it's still present in this world, because it feels itself, it has a body, but no one sees it. But it does have a body. There's a Gemara about this.
Awareness of when you sleep.
What?
When you sleep while you're alive, there's no awareness, right?
Well, I mean, there's no conscious awareness.
No conscious awareness.
Yeah, but you're having dreams, no?
But when you're after you pass on, you have a stronger awareness.
Yeah, of course. You have all, because there's no brain. There's nothing's closing your memory.
Not like you're sleeping. You're up.
No, you're totally awake. You have pure consciousness. You don't have the strictures of the brain. But the point that I want to say, because we're going to get it, it's a whole other topic. The Gemara says about a Rebbe, the Gemara says in Ksuvas, the Gemara says that Kol Bei Shimsha, the Rebbe used to come to make kiddush for his family, right? He used to come out of Shabbat. And then one time the person said, so they stopped coming. What Shadi came? When he came, they saw him. What do you mean to see him? They saw him, he's in the caver. He came out of the caver, he ripped out of the caver, came. That's also a pretty horrifying thing to see. So what the shot they saw him? Because they saw him in the Guvdak. That's the way the Kodesh writes. What shot they saw him in the Guvdak? That he was a tzaddik is someone that can manipulate their Guvdak. There's a Maisa, there's a lot of Chassidish Maisa like this, but there's a Maisa Reb Zisha that once was sitting, and the Gabbai brought him a tray to eat, and he says that he sees his brother Ben Melech standing on top of the plate. What shot he saw him Bahakits, that he was standing there. When he was not there, he was 1,000 miles away. Pshat is that if a person has a good relationship with their Guvdak, a spiritual type of good relationship with the Guvdak, you can actually project. It's called astral projection. You can project your Guvdak into other places. Most people can't do it, but that's an idea. Then the kuda of that is, what's this whole idea? Is that before neshama comes down lamata, it enters into the Guvdak, and then it comes down to the Guvgas. So first it comes into this which is a levush. It's an oy makif on the person, and then it enters into the person. The same thing also in reverse. The individual person, after a person passes on, first they enter into the levush gas, levush dak, and after a period of time they drop the levush dak and they become pure awareness. They get, and that's Gan Eden. So there's always a movement between one thing to the next. In order to get to a place, you need an intermediary, and the intermediary, which is the levush, which is oy makifim, the makifim of that, is something that has traces of the first thing and traces of the other thing. So.
We mentioned about tzaddikim. We said before being in the Rik, Gamla Zilosa Toya Lakavana, even to someone else. What is
What are you talking about? That well.
paragraph we read before in the Rik?
Yeah.
Then you have the Gamla Zilosa Toya Lakavana. What does that mean? I thought.
Oh, the beginning.
Yeah. Does that mean that someone can project it on someone else? What is the Gamla Zilosa?
Yeah.
You just mentioned tzaddikim.
Yeah. That's
Is
what it
that
means.
what it means?
That's what it means. Yeah. So this is, but that's a little bit different. But that's the idea. Same also, by the way, this also works with malachim. If malachim are in its purest form, they're oir, they're eish. Let's say even eish. How do they project themselves into? How could the Avraham Avinu talk on malach? Pshat is that he was slavish in the guvdak. That's the levush, and maybe even a levush gas. But it's through the levush first the dak, and then the gas that they can project themselves. So every time there's a movement, Hashem is lavish. This is also Kaviyach HaKadosh Baruch Hu does it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Ein Sof, puts on a levush makifim of gvul, and that's how he creates the world. So Hashem always is lavish. This is all levushim. So levushim is the oy makifim that allows for one thing to get into the other thing, to get from one pnimi into the other thing. You actually need the idea of the levush. So because the levush, what the levush does, the garment, the oir makifim is that the pnimi of the one projects this oir. This is the makifim of that thing. And if you want to enter that person's space, you enter first in the makifim, and then you can enter the thing. So let's say you'll say the makifim of Gan Eden is the guvdak. Kaviyachol. It's also your own makifim also. Right? Because that's where your machshav, the burim, are projected into your makifim. That's why that's a ruach of Gan Eden is surrounds a person at all times, because that's the makifim. That's where you are really, and when you enter into the makifim, you enter the makifim of the guvdak, and then you enter the guvdak and go into Gan Eden. That's the process. The same thing also works on Shabbos. That Shabbos, the Shabbos, the shvil, the makifim of Shabbos is the levushim. The levushim that you're going to wear on Shabbos, the garments that you're wearing, the physical garments that you're wearing, represents the oy makifim. It represents the oy makif of the kedushas HaShabbos, of Shabbos itself. So you're not only, like we said before, you're not only preparing for Shabbos by putting on begadim, saying I'm preparing for Shabbos now. So there's two ways how to think about it, right? I'm putting on big day Shabbos now. Why? So because I need to be in Shabbos. So if I want to start Shabbos with big day Shabbos, I'll put on Shabbos before. That's one way. The other way to say it is, in order for me to enter Shabbos, I need to put on the begadim of Shabbos now, because the begadim of Shabbos is the shvil, is the oy makifim that allows me to get into Shabbos. If I don't have the shvil to enter Shabbos, I can't enter Shabbos. That's why going back to this idea. If a person doesn't wear big day Shabbos, doesn't put on big day Shabbos for Shabbos, and then they say my Shabbos was not Shabbos, I didn't feel Shabbos. Of course you didn't feel Shabbos, because if you didn't first enter into the makifim of Shabbos, you can't enter Shabbos. You can't show up to Shabbos azoy. Doesn't work. You can't say I'm working till the shkia mamish, and whatever I have to do, and then Shabbos comes. There's no makifim. You're not entering. So the whole Shabbos you're going to try to enter the makifim, but you're not. It's going to be a very hard time to get into Shabbos. The only way to enter the Shabbos is if you first enter into the levushim of Shabbos, because levushim of Shabbos is the oy makifim of Shabbos that allows you the access point to get into Shabbos. Let's read, and this is actually the Griz says. I know this is a pikabala, but the Griz says this is a pin. That this is a. I'm sorry, we skipped one Maramakim. The Maramakim David so the Kodesh Magid. So the Kodesh Magid writes that that's a whole thing about the Shnai Neurim, but the Ikir is that Sha'oila Malbush Oisis B'Shalom. That the Malbush, the garment, is Oisis B'Shalom. Why is Oisis B'Shalom? Because that's peace. What's Shalom? Shalom means that I can have a connection. The only way I can have a connection is through the Malbush. I can't enter your conversation with you if I don't enter your makifim. I don't understand what you're kicking off. What's the energy you're kicking off? What's the oy makifim that you're kicking off? I can't enter to your place. That's the malbush is the place of the shalom. We're going to talk about. We didn't talk about Gadim because we'll get to it. Yeah, it's not much a flip side. It's Gadim could. We'll see soon. Let's see if we can get there. Let's learn over here. The shtickle Griz over here in Parshas Yisro. God, when it says that the Rebbe was dressed, came every Erev Shabbos, so the Sefer Chassidim writes, and we said Rabbeinu Bechaya and the Shevet Musaf, this said they came with a Guvdak, but the Sefer Chassidim writes that he came with Big de Shabbos. He adds that he came with Big de Shabbos, which is the same idea, because he wanted to enter into Shabbos, so you have to enter the Beganim Shabbos. You enter the Beganim Shabbos, that's Kaviyachol, the Beganim Shabbos is the Guvdak of Shabbos. So you enter in the Guvdak in Big de Shabbos. It's a double idea. Okay, so in the Rambam, let's just see this Rambam. The Rambam writes, Kovid means things that we do before Shabbos, right? That's what we say what Kovid is. Kovid means it's honor. You're doing those things in Shabbos, so you should honor Shabbos. Then it says, that you dress up in tzitzis. Tzitzis means like a talis or a white garment. You're waiting for Shabbos. They used to gather at Talmidim. We spoke about this a few months ago. That why Dafka Talmidim, but the idea is that they were sitting and waiting for Shabbos to enter. This is Kavod Shabbos. The honor of Shabbos is you dress in Shabbos, you take a shower, you take your rechitza, you go to the mikveh, you put on big day Shabbos, and you're waiting for Shabbos. Then the Rambam writes in the Lachat Gimel, Mekvoida Shabbos Yilbus Ksus Nekiya. And part of Kavod Shabbos, the honoring of Shabbos, is that you should wear clean clothes. Like we learned also. That's the thing. You should clean your soul before Shabbos on Thursday. So the Shaila is like this. Sorach Biyah. What's the Mekvoida Shabbos? The Rambam has another thing. And Mekvoida Shabbos is you should wear in big the Shabbos. He already said Eza Kavod in the first halacha. And halacha Beis, he already said what Kavod Shabbos is. Why is he adding in halacha Gimel? What's that Shabbos? So this is what he says. This is what the Gemara says. Abiru. The Malacha bein farshach on Shabbos sarach lekabel pnei Shabbos chen l'shonim yachal akbol pnei Shabbos. Chen boy nes gal Shabbos abel b'halacha b'halacha farsh din covered Shabbos atzmei. Says there's two gedarim in Shabbos covered. There's the chana l'Shabbos covered. You're preparing yourself for Shabbos, and then there's a covenant in Shabbos itself. In the chana itself. So the two separate things. Right? If I'm putting, again, we said, you're putting on clothes Erev Shabbos. You could say it's two things. You could say I'm putting on clothes for Shabbos because if I want Shabbos to start and I should be dressed in my nicest clothes, so I must put Shabbos clothes on Erev Shabbos. It's not benimsa that I can be dressed on Shabbos clothes without getting dressed on Erev Shabbos. But there's nothing really inherent about getting dressed on Erev Shabbos. It's just I should be dressed for Shabbos. But there's another halacha. This is what the Rambam is saying. There's another halacha, which is al pi pnimis, works very well. There's another halacha, which halacha is there's a preparing which you have to get dressed on Shabbos. Not only do I have to wear begadim on Shabbos, so I need to get dressed on Erev Shabbos, so I should have Bigdei Shabbos on when Shabbos starts. Part of the chana of Erev Shabbos is to put on Bigdei Shabbos. Like we said, that's the market that gets into the pnimi. That's the chana. So he says this. So he says the tzarich la'amid al chagavan is mativum. He says certainly okay, a person gets dressed, but what is the idea of misata b'tzitzis and yeshu b'koy v'roish? So he says that the Rambam says Allah. It's Allah. The Gemara brings on this Allah. And if you're rotz b'shus Erev Shabbos, you're allowed to run. And if you by mistake you hurt someone, so you're potter in Erev Shabbos. So because there's permission to run, but the Rambam adds that the reason why you're allowed to run on Erev Shabbos is Shabbos. So you should enter Shabbos. You shouldn't enter Shabbos with behilus. You should enter Shabbos with a settled mind. This is what he says. These are the three achanas of Erev Shabbos. That Erev Shabbos, there has to be these three things, and he says that's. You need three achanas. Kipsus some loisam is one. Yeah, and choinel mashlishi she put him a call a shakasik moshe Shabbos. V'achana shlishi v'yitzim moshe kolam kaslikim. The achana shlishi tzikal Shabbos. He says when the Torah was given, you have these three things that the Rambam writes. The three things that a person has to do is you have to clean yourself. You have to empty yourself. And settle and wait for Shabbos, but he doesn't write this other idea Masata B'tzitzis. But Masata B'tzitzis is what our diuk is, that Masata B'tzitzis, part of Levushim Shabbos, is part of the Achana itself, not just the covet. Part of entering into Shabbos is that you enter into the place of preparing. Okay, so this has to do with clothes, and we have to talk about the four madrigas of clothes, but a few more little points, then we'll get to it. What's over here? Okay. So this is from the Lubavitcher from the Rebbe, a Sicha Tafshin Aleph. And he writes that from the Rebbe Shosem, from the Rebbe Shab, he's saying this in 1951. People weren't doing this. He said Yungalai should wear Zaydin Mezupitzes. You should wear Zaydin on Shabbos. You should wear silk. And it's brought on from the Rebbe Shab. There's a mind from the Rebbe Shab that writes that Bigdei Shabbos have to be silk. You should wear some silk on Shabbos. Silk is connected to the animal kingdom. Most levushim that we have is let's say synthetic, or it's created through wool or other things. But you should dafka wear. It's from a worm silk, so you should wear silk. And okay, to dafka wear silk on Shabbos. It's akpad from the Rebbe Shab, Tavar Samach Beis, and Eter. He brings it down. To wear silk. Now, I just want to, before we unpack this whole thing, silk generally shines. It's the nature of silk, right? You wear wool, it's not shiny. You wear black regular, black. You're wearing a black frock or kapota or bekish or whatever you're wearing. If it's not silk, it's not shining. You wear something that's black, and something that's made out of silk, it shines. So dafka meshi, something that's made out of silk shines. It's going to be very negay, this nekudim.
Shining is a word or mesh is a word?
Meshi that's going to be shiny. No, meshi is what the Rashab writes. But when you wear meshi, you're going to have shiny. We'll see soon why it's negay to have shiny. This is going to be a shtickle teretz of why we don't wear black. So why we wear black and not white. But let's go to another thing over here. So the nekuda is simply that you have to wear clean clothes and white clothes, or at least four white garments on Shabbos. And be'emes, when a person, and we said that the idea is because the kedusha Shabbos, or the oir of Shabbos, the oir pnimi of Shabbos, is mislabish in the oir makifim, and you have to, that's the levush, that's the shvil to enter into Shabbos. The idea, just everything has to be understood on a very high level, but also on a very pashta, simple level. Is that when a person dresses, when you put on clothes, when a person dresses with clean clothes, certainly if it's whiter clothes, there's a physical sensation of feeling clean. You put on a frock that's dirty, you feel a little dirty. You put on something that just came out of the cleaners, it just was cleaned, you feel a little more cleaner. So sometimes when you do something on a physical level, not sometimes, always, when you do something on a physical level, a lot of things that we talk about on a very high level, you should just know that it's mamash begashmis. So sometimes when you do something begashmis, you put on something that's clean and white, and a big day love and bechlal in Chazal, the way it's understood that Malach HaShoros wear big day love, and this dinner Shulchan Aruch by Nechosim Kippur, the Rambam brings that you should wear white because it's big day Malach HaShoros. The idea of wearing white clothes or the begadim of a person Lachar Me'av Esrim is also is there's a few Rashis in Shas and Nida. And in Kedushin it says that person wears white clothes. The idea of wearing white clothes as opposed to wearing a darker clothes has a physical impression on the person. If you're putting on a white shirt, it feels different than putting on a green shirt. Just the way it is. Everything has, there's a whole Shara Gvana from the Ramak, where the Ramak talks about all different types of the colors which connect to the spheres, which says that when you wear red, it evokes Gvura. When you wear white, it evokes Chesed. There's a certain type of, when you're wearing something, it creates a certain feeling about it. The idea of entering into Shabbos, is that you want to go into Shabbos with daita pnuya, like the Rama writes, which means that your mind is settled, and you feel cleansed. We talked about going to the mikveh or taking a shower, which is a chitzas to get away all the zayah, which right, all the things of choil. You're leaving those things, and now you're feeling like it's a new start. I feel immaculate. I feel clean. I feel I'm entering the place. So the idea of physically putting on big day Shabbos, clean clothes, white clothes, or lighter clothes, is in itself a physical way of to enter a place of nikoyin. That a person wants to feel clean, you put on clean clothes. We spoke a few times ago. We talked about that the Ramak writes, and it's also Alter brings the Shulchan Aruch, Chaim brings it down, Mishabur brings it down. The idea that at Erev Shabbos you should clean your house of spiders or from cobwebs. So what's the idea of cobwebs? What do I have to do? So there's a high idea that it represents klippa and all these things. Okay, fine, you're cleaning your house, but the mere fact of cleaning, just getting your house clean, of getting your house a little more glansnik, a little more shiny, that in itself opens you up. You feel like you're in a better space. You feel like you're in a more cleaner place. That's the physical idea of nikoyin. So the physical idea of wearing clean, of dressing in clean clothes is just like physically it should be connected to this. There's also like the big dekuna that the Gemara says that it shouldn't be kruyim, it shouldn't be betit, it shouldn't have any, it shouldn't be soiled. It should be clean. So Talmud Chacham Nikah Shabbos Zohar says, and Talmud Chacham Bafil Revaval Big Day. The idea of the cleanliness is a certain cleanliness. There's a Gemara that talks about cleanliness. Now the famous Gemara that is the Gemara that says for Pinchas ben Yair, that says the Madregas that Zirus Meiv Nikiyas it goes all the way up to Ruach HaKodesh Tchias HaMesim. That the whole Mesilas Yesharim is based on that idea. But that's Nikoyin and Midas. Nikoyin also means physically, the person should be naki, clean. There's an interesting, over here in the Gemara Psachim, in Kufir Aleph, the Gemara says that about Neshura basic kosher l'niyasa, a person hangs their food or is messy with food, that it's kosher. And then the Gemara says, Isir de mezoyin nokit shmei, that the shed, whatever this means, that's connected to, or the koyach, the malach, that's connected to mezoinis to give food, is nokit shmei. And Isir de nisa novel shmei. And the malach that's connected, the angel that's connected to aniyas, is called novels. So what does Rashi say? It's the mamish on the end of the daf. Nokit shmei loshen nekida kama menaka chetzer, means clean. Novel shmei loshen lichluch. Nokit shmei loshen nekiyas. Look at the Rashbam. The fikra knows the shipurim and the other regel. That one is nekiyas. The fikra knows the shipurim and the regel. Asir the nisa novel shmei loshen lichluch. That this a clean place, a dirty place. This is not just a super high madregas of levels. This is very simple things, cleanliness.
Rasha said the meaning of key is the pass. It sounds like more
No, because the Gemara is talking about pas. The Gemara is talking about pas, but the that's be novel. No, because the Gemara says if you see perurim, if you have food, that's usually bread. That's right. Mafar.
It's not like out of the zone for the after. It's not the point.
It's another point. That's not the point. That's another point. Here you're saying the Bechal. This idea is that Nikias, just being clean, is a segula for parnasa and for mezainas, and being dirty is a segula for anias. That's what the Gemara says. Pasha simple like that. I heard a story. I'll tell you an interesting story. I don't think we're going to be able to finish this. All right, we'll continue next time, but I just want to finish with the story. I'll tell you a story. There was a Yid just told me the story on Shabbos. He was there, he was a bacher in Antwerp, Antwerpen. And it was Erev Shabbos. And he was buying challah. He was a bacher, 20-year-old bacher, sitting and buying challah on Erev Shabbos, 19 Lametes. 1979. In the late 70s, buying challah, and there's a line. I don't know if you ever had that. So there was it's Airbnb sold. There's hundreds of people buying challah. A Yid walks in. He was a Chassidish Yid. His name was Reb Sadia Liberov. He's Alter Lubavitcher Chassid. He walks in, and he said he was standing next to him, and he saw that there was like roaches running around in the bakery. He walked to the front of the bakery. He gave a clap on the thing. And he says, Dervis Nishrein ben Adam l'chaver is Nishrein ben Adam l'malkim. If you're not clean ben Adam l'chaver, then you're probably not clean ben Adam l'malkim. He was an older Yid, very respected Yid. And so the store piled out. Everyone left. He says, but there's a problem with the kashas. The kids of Darbonim heard about this story. Shabbos, everyone's talking about. Sunday, Marzika Das, Shema Das, I don't remember which bezin, they came down to the store and they saw there was a problem with the kashas. And they closed the store for 6 months until the store got back this hechsher. This is the story that he told me. I think there's a very big oimik to this story. You have to understand this, but if you're not careful, this is a very dangerous story because we're not talking about OCD. I'm just talking about if you don't have respect on a very simple level of Nikoyan, and you're not makpid if there's roaches running around you, then that means there's a chasar in your whole avodah. There's something missing here. It says about this is more a Litvish Amais, but they used to ask. There was a Litvish Mashgiach called Rabbi Yochum. And the mice is that when he used to ask him for, which was a bacher for a shidduch, he used to tell the father, if you're looking for a bacher for a shidduch, you have to go to their room and see how they keep their room. So if they keep the room neat and it's pretty normal, then it's going to be a balabata shagai. You can marry. It's a good shidduch you're doing. If the room looks like a tornado and there's mice running all over, probably there's something there's some type of chassan there. Something about nikiyas and seder in order that the physical thing of doing it, going back to Big Day Shabbos, the fact that a person takes off his Big Day Chol And whatever the big dechol are, and you say this is a beautiful clothes that I'm going to wear for Shabbos, the physical act of putting on this clothes, whether it's a shtaimel or it doesn't negate what the beged is, but you're saying this is the clothes I'm putting on Shabbos, and it's reserved. I don't wear it throughout the week, and it's clean, and it's not ripped, and there's no lap, and it's nice. When you're going to put it on, you're going to feel Shabbosdik, and you feel Shabbosdik, and you're able to enter into Shabbos. And Be'ez Hashem will continue next week to talk about the Madregas of the Lushan.